Today is April 29th, 2023. My name is Charles Suter. Today I'm presenting the topic of assertiveness tactics. If you need more information, here's a reference source for you. When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, a book by Manuel J. Smith. Now, my main message is assertiveness is the remedy to both overly passive and aggressive behaviors. The specific purpose of assertiveness tools is to help people to 1. Ask and negotiate for what they want from others, and 2. To stand up for their rights without violating the rights of others. When dealing with other people, and they get what you want from them, you must engage in open, honest communication and assertive behaviors when necessary. Using assertive behaviors is far more effective than either passive or aggressive behaviors in getting to win-win outcomes. An assertive approach promotes the seeking of a fair exchange of rewards in a value-for-value relationship. A passive approach, on the other hand, is a forfeiture of one's wants in exchange for the avoidance of potential embarrassment. The response to any request not made of others is always no. On the other hand, an aggressive approach to life, an attempt to gain more of what one wants at the expense of other people's rights through force and intimidation, often results in more conflict, adversity, and hard feelings. What's the solution? The assertive approach. It's effective in getting interpersonal results without the social turbulence. So let's get to assertiveness tool number 1. It's called broken record. It's simply a repeated request for the same thing in a different form. It's not giving up, but it's seeking a different approach for getting results. When you want something from others, don't be afraid to ask for it. A successful response depends on what you ask for and how you ask for it, and of course what you offer in exchange. The worst that can happen when you make an offer or request is that the other person declines for a myriad of reasons. Once you know their reasons, you have a choice of modifying your requests and making a counteroffer. Persistence, politeness, reasonableness are persuasive traits that often lead to success. Assertion tactic number 2, agreement in fact. This is your willingness to accept another person's point of view. Allow for the possibility that the statements of others might contain some truth. Always be prepared to accept the possibility that you might be wrong, and another person's point of view might have some validity. Most points of view have some validity, so be prepared to agree with factual-based arguments to support another person's point of view. You have the option of asking for clarification and more details to further explore if there are openings for further understanding. If negotiating, you can counter with your own facts and evidence to persuade others of your own point of view. If you're trying to resolve an issue, your first offer should be slightly in your favor with some benefits for the other person. You can always sweeten the deal with subsequent offers. Assertiveness tactic number 3. This is listening and self-disclosure. This is where mutual non-defensive communication comes into play. Conversations should include listening, respect, and sharing of viewpoints. Issues, concerns, and proposals should always be discussed peacefully and respectfully. Always be prepared to present your own point of view on any subject with an emphasis on facts and evidence, not just opinions and emotions, and seek to identify areas of agreement and disagreement. Finding common ground builds rapport and a foundation for mutual trust to continue to explore areas of disagreement. Allow the facts and evidence to speak for themselves. You can always continue to explore other options for mutual gain. Assertiveness tactic number 3. Negative assertion and inquiry. When others find fault with you, seek more information from them. Don't become defensive. Actively seeking more details about a controversy will give you information. By allowing others to point out your faults without getting emotionally upset and defensive, you might learn something. If others criticize you politely and without emotional attachment to the criticism, ask for clarification. Ask for specifics. Ask about other faults you might have. Soliciting this free information gives you new insights, allowing you to realistically assess yourself and determine if the problem is you, just a misunderstanding, or simply a difference of opinion based upon personal preferences and different standards. Assertiveness tactic number 5, workable compromise. This is what it's all about. Negotiating for a win-win agreement. Actively working collaboratively with the other person to reach an agreement where rights and needs of all parties are taken into account in any final agreement. The goal for asking a simple favor, conflict resolution, or negotiating with the others is a workable compromise where all parties gain something of value. Every relationship is based on a value for value exchange. There must be some mutual benefits that hold a relationship together. Getting to a workable compromise will require both parties to find out what the other person values and getting to that fair trade. Getting useful information requires the free exchange of ideas through inquiry and listening. Now, my final message. You will get better results with assertion than either passive or aggressive behaviors. Social interactions that are too passive or too aggressive introduce friction into relationships that are detrimental to all parties. The better solution to either overly passive or aggressive behaviors is an assertive approach, wherein civility, consideration, and tactfulness are required. The assertive approach is intended to get you what you want with a workable compromise where all parties gain something of value. Now, people fail to use this assertive approach because they haven't learned them, or they have become too reliant on the conditioned behaviors of fight or flight, or, in other words, passivity or aggressiveness. Often, the over-reliance on passive-aggressive behaviors represents self-esteem issues. The better approach to getting what you want is assertiveness, which can be learned to replace the social alienating approaches of passivity and aggressiveness. Also, practicing assertive behaviors builds self-esteem. Rather than becoming more assertive and applying these tools more often will remedy both. That's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.